Yeah, good morning and that. It's Uncle Lou here. Yeah, that's right. It's me, Uncle Lou, and I'm live for you on YouTube today. So thanks for watching. Man, I sure do appreciate it also. And two, somebody was complaining in the comments, I don't remember if it was today or yesterday, about no tool on the videos. So there you go. I hope you were watching in that. But anyway, appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. We'll get right to the phone calls here in just a second. This is something I've been trying to do every week, but upset alerts. I looked through the list of games before I came on, and I made my short list of games to keep an eye on for possible upsets within the top 25. Now, we don't have any, I mentioned this in the video earlier, we don't have any huge marquee matchups this week involving top 25 teams like we did last week with Texas LSU and A&M and Clemson. But we still have some pretty interesting games and possibly a few upsets. Here's the short list I narrowed down. What do I have on here? Florida at Kentucky. Man, Florida, the more I look at Florida, the more I realize they're just not a very good team, are they? No. They're not. How are you as a team averaging 4.3 yards per carry? I don't know. Something like the 65th best offense in America. The defense is good, but let's be real, the defense has been good. I mean, the defense was Gunnar McElwain, and y'all hated him. You have no offense again. So, I don't know what to tell you. Your best running back is averaging 4.7 yards per carry. Georgia has two running backs that are averaging over 9 yards per carry. I don't know what you're doing there. Florida at Kentucky. Problem is Kentucky's got some issues of its own, so it's hard to pick that one. But I think that one's got some potential for an upset there. Clemson at Syracuse. Man, this one was circled in the offseason. Can you uncircle something? Syracuse has looked bad. I don't expect Clemson to lose that game. Bama at South Carolina. Stop it. Stop it. No. Penn State versus Pitt. In-state rivalry game. Penn State's looked way better than I thought they would. Pitt, it looks like, every other ACC team not named Clemson. I don't know about that. UCF versus Stanford. Stanford is the underdog. The game is in UCF. So if you pick an upset on that one, that means you think Stanford is going to win. Anybody think Stanford beating Central Florida? Not me, Jack. Michigan State versus Arizona State. I don't think Arizona State can beat them. Maybe I'm wrong. Iowa at Iowa State. There's your upset right there. Iowa's favored. Why? This game's at Iowa State. You can't win there. This is ridiculous. That's your upset. Washington State versus Houston. Washington State, I think, is ranked 23rd or 24th or something. Houston's unranked. Could Houston beat them? It's possible. Game's in Washington State, though. See what Mike Leach can do. Southern Cal, man, we owe them an apology. They look a lot better than people thought, don't they? They got some problems, too, though. Administration problems. Virginia versus Florida State. No upset there. Virginia will roll in that game. Game's in Virginia. Florida State's not beating Virginia. I'm sorry. Florida State's got issues that can't be fixed in a week. Like wide receivers lining up facing the wrong way. Did you guys see that? Hey, come out and try to say it was a trick play, though. Yeah, you tricked your own wide receiver into lining up facing the other way. Please tell me you guys have seen that. Can I find a picture of that? I'm sure I can. In case y'all haven't seen it. I mean, this is some next level. This is some next level shit here. Wait till you see this now. What is this? I need a Florida State fan to explain this to me like I'm a 3-year-old. Who is this fooling? They swear it was a trick play. Now who is this tricking? I mean, now keep in mind, Florida State. Assume they're telling the truth and this is some kind of a trick play. This is Florida State doing this against Louisiana Monroe. This is the kind of stuff you do when you're Louisiana Monroe and you're playing Florida State. This is not something Florida State should be doing. What is this? What kind of nickel and dime operation is Willie Taggart running? That is beyond pitiful. That is beyond pitiful. I've had a couple of people in the comment section tell me I only don't like Willie Taggart because he's a black man in a position of power. Yeah, it has nothing to do with the fact that he has no idea what he's doing. And never mind the fact I get ragged all the time because I talk constantly about how good of a coach I think James Franklin and David Shaw are. I mean, are they black people in position of power? I mean, I get comments like that in the comment section, and I literally laugh out loud when I read them. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand who's watching Florida State play last year and this year, and then sees somebody criticizing Willie Taggart and goes, well, he's obviously criticizing him because he's black. No, it's because he doesn't know what the hell he's doing, lady. Okay? For God's sakes, man. Has there ever been a coach I've rode harder than Butch Jones? I mean, if a coach doesn't know what he's doing, he doesn't know what he's doing. It's got nothing to do with what color he is. Does Will Muschamp know what he's doing? That's sad, man. Noles fans have taken a nosedive. I don't know what the hell's going on. I really don't. Shout out to Lanier HVAC Services. They sponsor these Uncle Lou Show lives that we do. If you live in the Athens, Atlanta, or Gainesville, Georgia area and you need some work done on your HVAC unit, give the good people over at Lanier HVAC Services a call. They'll take good care of you. Their phone number is 678-943-1351. I have another... I'll be doing another live stream this weekend for some games. I'll talk about that at some point later in the show so we can go ahead and get to some phone calls here pretty quick. Per usual, when you call in, we'll talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. If you have some upset picks, let me know what they are. That would be great. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou and that.
Good morning, Uncle Lou. How are you?
I'm doing good. You?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you asking. Listen, I normally like to call in here and have some fun, but I got some serious stuff to talk about.
Okay.
The Bayou Bengals look pretty good, don't they?
LSU?
That's right.
Yeah, offensively they look amazing. Throwing the ball.
I mean, I've been impressed with what I saw at LSU. I didn't see it coming. I don't think, a lot of people did. You talked about it a little bit. And honestly, just through 2 weeks on a neutral field with Alabama, I would say that game is a toss-up. Playing in Tuscaloosa, Alabama is going to be a favorite probably. But if LSU keeps playing the way that they do and Alabama keeps playing the way that they do, I thought Alabama was coming out of the West this year, but I mean, it could be LSU. What do you think?
Well, when you've lost to a team 8 or 9 years in a row and most of those games haven't even been close, that doesn't mean that LSU will lose again, but it does mean that not very many people are going to expect it to happen, including me.
Right.
And it really doesn't do any good to talk about if they were playing on a neutral field, because they're not playing on a neutral field. I mean, they didn't play on a neutral field last year either, and I know LSU's offense is a lot better, but I mean, it wasn't even close. Now they got to play this year in Tuscaloosa, so not that it won't be a good game, and not that LSU couldn't win. Anybody can win on any day, but I don't think very many people, even based on what we've seen so far from LSU, I can't imagine very many people picking LSU to win that game.
Yeah, no, I hear you. The Texas game, I think, shows, though, that LSU can go into a pretty hostile environment and win. But that game's not for a while, so I'll move on from that. Hey, Uncle Lou, is North Carolina a top 25 team?
I don't think you can say that now. They've beat two teams that clearly are not top 25 teams. And they've barely beat both of them. So North Carolina is way better than I thought they would be. So I'm not knocking North Carolina at all. I don't want it to come off that way. But Miami is not a good team. South Carolina is not a good team.
Right. I hear you. I mean, I think that Mac Brown deserves some credit.
Me too.
I mean, he's obviously coaching the kids well, and he has the team believing that they can win, because they were down in both their games against South Carolina and Miami, and they showed some mental discipline and some resiliency, and I think that comes from the coaches. So I give Mac Brown credit for putting that into his players.
I give him a lot of credit too, because they were one of the worst teams. I mean, they were Louisville type bad last year, and they definitely don't look like that this year. And I mean, when you look at their schedule, they got Wake Forest Friday. Can they win that game? Of course they can. It's Wake Forest. After that, they have Appalachian State. Can they win that game? Yes. Then they play Clemson. Can they win that game? No. Then they play Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech. They can win both of those games. Then they play Duke. They can win that game. Then they play Virginia. I don't think they can win that game. Now, it's at home, but right now I would go with Virginia in that game. And then their last three games are Pitt, Mercer, and NC State. So I don't think anybody would be surprised if they go 9-3, which would be a huge turnaround from last year.
Yeah. Yeah, I see a similar season for North Carolina. I think that's great. But that kind of leads me into my next point. My upset pick is Kentucky over Florida. I mean, forget about the point spread. I think Kentucky's an outright winner this weekend. And that's because what Florida showed against Miami was the opposite of what North Carolina showed. They were completely undisciplined. And if Florida gets frustrated that they're not ahead by 9 points or more late in the third quarter, they're going to get frustrated and they're going to shoot themselves in the foot. And Mark Stoops is a better coach than Manny Diaz. One of the reasons why Florida was able to eke out that win is because Miami was just as undisciplined as Florida. I mean, they had 14 penalties in that game.
Right.
So I don't think that Kentucky is going to stall their own drives. I think Florida is, if the game is close in the third quarter, Kentucky is going to win, because Florida is not going to be able to stop themselves from pass interference downfield, late hits out of bounds, roughing the passer, whatever it might be. And I think with Kentucky being at home, it's going to make it all the harder for Florida to keep their cool.
You mentioned something when you were talking about North Carolina that Mac Brown has them believing they could win, and I think that kind of thing matters. Now, that's not all that matters. Obviously, talent and all that kind of stuff matters too, but that's a problem that Kentucky has had with Florida for a long, long time. I mentioned this during the offseason several times, but Kentucky has outplayed Florida probably 3 of the last 5 or 6 times that they've played. But they, instead of finding ways to win, they were finding ways to lose. And part of that, I think, was a mental advantage that Florida had over Kentucky just after beating them for so long. But with Kentucky getting the win last year on the road in Gainesville, I know they lost some of their good players, but there's still a lot of players on that team who obviously were on the team last year and remember beating Florida. So I think some of that mental monkey might be off Kentucky's back. And I picked Kentucky to win this game in the offseason, but and it's I've got some concerns about Florida, but I've got some concerns about Kentucky too. They're not good against the pass, and that's all Florida can do. They can't run the ball, but they can throw it. They've got some great wide receivers, even though Kadarius Toney is going to be out. Their defensive back too, what is his name? C.J. Henderson, he's out too. But then Kentucky's playing a backup quarterback with Terry Wilson being out. Now, that could end up being a blessing in disguise. I don't know. I was never that high on Terry Wilson. Kentucky fans, tried to convince me he was going to have a great year. Now all of a sudden he's hurt and he's out, and those same Kentucky fans are telling me that this backup is better. So but you know how that goes. Fans are a little delusional sometimes. So I'm not as confident in Kentucky winning this game today as I was in the offseason after what I've seen in the first couple of weeks and the injury to Terry Wilson and things like that. But I do think it'll be a good game, and I would take Kentucky in the 8.5 points.
There's a lot of crap games on this weekend, so I'll definitely be watching that Kentucky-Florida game. And the last thing I wanted to talk to you about, Uncle Lou, is Michigan. I know that you're high on Michigan, but I could not disagree with you more. Do you? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that you think Michigan is an 11, if not a 10-win team, right?
Yes.
I think very strongly that Michigan is an 8-win team staring down the barrel of a possible 7-win season. And I can tell you why.
Okay.
Based on what I've seen, I think that Michigan is going to lose to Ohio State and Wisconsin. And I think that they're going to be at least 2 losses between their games against Penn State, Michigan State, Iowa, Notre Dame, or Maryland. And the reason why I say that is because I was looking up some numbers, and it's staggering when you compare Michigan to those other 6 teams I named, how bad they stack up after 2 weeks. When it comes to total defense, they're 6 of 7. If you take those 7 teams, including Michigan, they're 6 out of 7 in total defense, and they're 7th in defensive efficiency. Their starter court, Shea Patterson's QBR is the lowest QBR of all 7 teams starting quarterbacks. They also are last of those 7 teams in sacks allowed, total yards, penalties, and fumbles.
Look, yeah, they've got some issues. No, there's no question about it, and they're not nearly as good looking so far this season as I thought they would be, or a lot of other people thought there would be. And an even bigger problem than that is that Wisconsin and Penn State are better than what people thought they were going to be. So it's going to be an uphill battle. Their schedule, of course, as usual, is brutal, having to play that Big Ten East schedule. And offensively especially, they haven't looked like what a lot of people thought they would look like. So, I think I picked them to go 11-1 in the offseason. Or you said 10-2. I think I picked them to go 11-1 in the offseason.
I think you did too.
Yeah, I think I picked them to go 11-1.
They
don't look like an 11. They don't
yards.
Look like an 11-win team right now. I don't mind people being down on Michigan. What's retarded is when people say Michigan sucks because they lost to Army in overtime, and that's all they say. That's just stupid to say. But you have reasons beyond that, so you understand what you're talking about, so that's fine.
Yeah, Michigan's game against Army was fine. Army is not a bad team, and Army plays a great defense, and they don't give Michigan the opportunity to get many possessions. Although, Michigan's got a better time of possession than a lot of the other teams in the Big Ten. They've had the ball longer than almost everybody that I think has a chance to beat them. But they have less than 800 total yards. And outside of Michigan State, who still has 100 total yards more than them. Everyone else who I think can beat them has between 25 and 60% more total yards through 2 games.
Right. Well,
Their offense
but part of that is that
done.
Michigan only had half the number of possessions that you get in a normal game against Army. So, and again, I'm not here to make excuses for Michigan. I can't stand Michigan, and I take a chance to laugh at Harbaugh every chance I get. But I don't. How many possessions do you get in a game? 15. How many do they get against Army? 8. So, I mean, so some of those stats 2 weeks into the season, you might have to look at who they've played. Or whatever, but basically what you're saying is that Michigan is going to lose to every good team they play this year, and I guess that's possible.
I think,
but it doesn't happen very often.
I think Michigan is going to lose. I think they're definitely going to lose to Wisconsin. I've tried to find a line, and Wisconsin's a 6-point underdog on a couple of websites. Like 24/7, I think, had a line on there. I think that's unbelievable to me. At Wisconsin, Wisconsin.
What, Wisconsin and Michigan?
The number one. Yes.
Wisconsin
has the number 1 defensive efficiency in the country right now.
Well, they haven't given up a single point, but
exactly.
in 2 games. But they're a 1.5-point favorite right now. Michigan is over Wisconsin. That obviously will change or could change as the game gets closer. But they're 1.5 right now. But Wisconsin's way better.
More reasonable than me.
Yeah. Well, Wisconsin's way better than people thought. Penn State's way better than people thought. Ohio State's about what people thought they would be, or people with sense anyway, besides the idiot Georgia fans that had their head in the sand that still think Justin Fields is no good. But in terms of normal people, Ohio State is who everybody thought they would be. Michigan State, we'll see about them. They look okay. I mean, if Michigan does lose to all those teams you named, then they got to get rid of Harbaugh. Then they're just wasting their time. But hey, thank you for the call. I'm gonna let you go. Let some more people get on. 706-510-6817 is the number if you want to be on the show. Tell me your upset picks. Whatever else you want to talk about. Let me run through these super chats here, and then we'll get back on the phone. Jason Aldridge, thank you for the super chat, sir. I appreciate it. It says 3 SEC team playoff scenario. That's easy. LSU would have to go 11-1 with a loss to Bama. Bama would have to go 12-0. Georgia would have to go 11-1 or 12-0, and then beat Alabama in the playoff. You then would have 3 one-loss SEC teams. Obviously, Georgia would get in because they won the SEC championship game, and then it would, in order for LSU and Alabama to get in, you would have to have multiple 2-loss conference champions. I would say the odds of that happening are very, very slim. The more interesting debate is if there's one spot left between LSU and Bama, who would get it. I would assume Bama would get it in that scenario since they would have beaten LSU head-to-head, but who knows? But I don't see any way the SEC gets 3 teams in. It would be hilarious because we get to see the rest of the college football world cry about it, but I don't think it'll end up happening. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Uncle Lou. This is Richard out here in Texas, Georgia Hummer. How's it going?
Hey, what's up, buddy? I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, man. Just want to talk a little bit about Georgia and, this coming weekend against Arkansas State. Do you think it'd be a good idea for them to push that passing game a little bit more, get some of these rookies a little more experience, and be able to, come on against Notre Dame with a more balanced attack and not just heavy on the run?
I've been thinking that was a good idea for the last year and a half, but they're not taking my advice. It makes no sense to me. It makes even less sense this year than it made last year. I mean, last year when we were blowing all these teams out in the first 6 weeks of the season, I said, why are we not passing the ball more? We need to get ready for some of these more difficult teams down the road. We're not going to be able to just line up and run the ball up the middle 80 times against LSU and Alabama and Auburn and blah, blah, blah. We need to be working on the passing game. They didn't do it. And now this year, it makes even more sense that you would do that. You've got no receivers on this team who have ever caught passes for Georgia in a game. So
Right.
it doesn't make. I know that. Listen, our backup quarterback situation is horrible. Stetson Bennett is. I mean, the guy. He's got no business being a Division I college quarterback. If Fromm goes down, the season's over. Period. So I understand yanking him at halftime in a blowout. That's fine. But why is he only getting 11 pass attempts in the first half of the game?
Right.
Does Fromm need the work? I happen to think he does. There's a lot of people who think he doesn't. Okay, fine. Even if you're one of those people that thinks Fromm doesn't need the in-game work and experience, what about George Pickens? What about Matt Landers?
Right.
What about Kyrus Jackson? I know he's out with a hand, but I mean,
And
what about
Wolf,
Eli
the tight
Wolf?
end
I mean,
Wolf.
none of these people have ever
Yeah.
caught a pass at Georgia. Lawrence Cager, none of these people. Demetrius Robertson has never caught a pass at Georgia till this year. Tyler Simmons
Right.
was the only wide receiver on our team who had caught a pass at the University of Georgia. DeAndre Swift was our leading returning receiver heading into this year. So it would make sense to me to let Fromm throw it a little bit more. Now, I was very impressed when they did throw it. I thought they did well. Now,
Me too.
it's against Murray State.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so we got to keep that in mind. It's against Murray State. It's not
Right.
going to be as easy to sit back there and throw the ball like that against some of the more difficult competition, especially if you're giving Fromm 11 pass attempts with the first team receivers per game. Now, I'm hoping that we'll see maybe 15 this week. And then
That'd be nice.
in Notre Dame, obviously, I think most people expect, I don't think it'll be a close game. I think Georgia wins by a couple of scores, but still you're going to have the starters in for the whole game, I would imagine. So, then maybe we open it up and you see Fromm with the 20 or 25 passes or whatever it happens to be. But I mean, I've been saying this for 2 years, and isn't it funny? You look out in the SEC West right now, and there's a team out there who for 8 years has had one of the best defenses in America and elite NFL running backs, and they can't beat Alabama. Now, all of a sudden, they start slinging the ball around, and people are saying, oh, my God, look at this LSU team.
Right.
Are we going to waste 7 or 8 years before we figure it out? I don't know. But
I hope not.
I posted a thing the other day. If you go through the top 10, Clemson runs the spread. Number 2, Alabama runs the spread. Georgia, forget about them for a second. Number 4, LSU runs the spread. Number 5, Ohio State runs the spread. Number 6, Oklahoma runs the spread. Notre Dame and Michigan run more of a pro style. Auburn runs the spread. Florida runs the spread. 7 of the top 10 teams in America run a spread offense. All of the top 10 teams in America have a more recent national title than Georgia does. Every single one of those teams I just named has won a national title since us. And I'm not saying that the reason we aren't winning one is because we don't throw the ball more, but it does seem like we're trying to win it does seem like we're about 10 years behind. It seems to me like we're trying to win a national title right now the same way Nick Saban won a national title in 2009 with Greg McElroy. You're not beating.
Right.
I mean, I hate to break the news to people. Let's say Georgia made the championship game. It doesn't matter whether it's against Alabama, Oklahoma, Ohio State, or Clemson. You score 20 points in that game, you're losing. I don't care how good your defense is. It doesn't matter. Look at our defense in 2017. One of the best defenses Georgia's had in my lifetime. Oklahoma scored at will.
Right.
Oklahoma scored at will. Now, yeah, we outscored them, and great. We won the game. That's amazing. But they had the 120th ranked defense in America. So, I mean, I don't know the answer. I don't know that throwing the ball more would get us a natty this year versus running the ball is going to mean we don't. I don't know. But I do know that what we've done the last couple of years is not working. And one more thing, and then I'll let you finish up.
Okay.
Second half against Vanderbilt. We get a lead in the first half. We come out in the second half. What happens? We can't score a touchdown. Murray State, we get a lead at halftime. We take all the starters out. They're cracking jokes on the sideline for the whole second half. Same thing's going to happen this week. The same thing is going to happen in a lot of the games we play this year. There are going to be blowouts in the second half. Then we get to the Alabama game. We get a big lead at halftime. You put the starters back in the second half, and they don't know what the hell to do. It's time to start teaching these kids to keep foot on the gas and your foot on the throat of your opponent for all 4 quarters.
All the way.
It's not Georgia's job to feel sorry for who we're playing. If you can beat them 80-0, beat them 80-0, because what's happening is we're getting to the end of the season and we don't know how to finish games against good teams. And championships are not won in January. Championships are won during the summer. They're won in September and October. You can't wait until the end of the year and flip a switch and say, surprise, now we're going to start throwing the ball or whatever it happens. But you can't do that. So we'll see. I think Georgia's got a great team. I think Georgia's got a chance to make a run this year. I think there's 6 or 7 teams that have a chance, and I think Georgia's one of those 6 or 7 teams. So we'll see.
Well, so do I do. And I think that if Alabama and LSU can beat each other up a little bit, and like you said, the championships are won in the summer. They're won in the fall season when you're playing these rinky-dink teams. If we can get the rest of the people to beat themselves up a little bit, I think we'll be high and tight and ready. But you're right. Just running has not worked. It has not worked. You can have the best running back duo again in the nation if you want, and it's not going to be enough.
Right.
So,
I agree
anyway,
with
man,
you.
Thanks for taking my call.
All right, yeah. Appreciate the call. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, anybody that's been watching me for any amount of time knows I'm dying to see Georgia open up the passing game. Hasn't happened yet, but I'm dying to see it. We'll see. Slim Shady, thank you for the super chat, sir. How do you get an FSU cheerleader into your room? Apply a lot of grease and push. He said you can't get through the door, huh? I have a problem there. I have to remove the door jams too. Hey, yeah, good morning, Annette. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Uncle Lou, what's going on?
What's up, buddy?
Not a whole lot. Hey, this is Larry. I live up here in northern Tennessee. I'm a Vols fan, and I think we might have a chance to upset Chattanooga.
I think you might be right.
Uncle Lou, I was listening to the radio show that you called into the other day, and man, what the hell's wrong with them? For real, they're kind of, hollering it's still possible to win 7 games. I actually started my own. Yeah, they're saying it's still possible to win 7 games. I said, and Pruitt. Now get this, Pruitt went into the news the other day, and he said, "Oh, the Tennessee." This is what he said in Knox Sentinel News. You can look it up; it's online. That the Tennessee football team was like the Titanic. I lost.
Yeah, I saw that. He said that at the Knoxville Touchdown Club. Compared Tennessee Vols football program to the Titanic.
Yeah, I actually started a YouTube channel for a couple of reasons on this. Like, for one, because I like what you do. You know, you're still a Georgia fan, but you call it like you see it. And
right.
I was just so pissed off and frustrated with the way that these idiots are jacking the fans up, and no production. I went to the game, this last game, 6 different times across the middle. These are things you won't see on TV because the cameras don't show these certain angles. 6 different times across the middle, there was nobody, no defender within 20 yards of the receivers running post routes, simple post routes. Garantano would stand there and look at them and wait till the pressure come by, or the coverage come back to the receiver. 3 of the times it was Jawan Jennings, your best playmaker. Why in the hell won't they pull him out? Why are they staying with Garantano? Why not give somebody else a chance? I mean, just nobody can explain this to me.
Yeah, is Garantano a junior or a senior?
He's a 4th year, or 4th year junior.
So technically, he could
freshman mistake.
He could play next year again. Then, I
hope not.
Yeah,
God,
I know.
I hope not.
What I was thinking is, I was going to say, if he was a senior, I was going to say there's absolutely zero reason to play him anymore because I don't think I'm telling you anything you don't know. This season is a complete wash for Tennessee. I mean, you can just forget it at this point. So if he's a senior, it makes no sense to play him. You yank him out, let a young guy get some experience this year. But I don't know. Is Pruitt planning on starting him again next year? I don't know. Y'all got Harrison Bailey coming in. I'm real high on him. I think he's really good.
Talking about starting him. Yeah, no, he's gonna be great. But we've got a couple guys that are decent quarterbacks. I mean, they might not be great, but hey, you know what? He wants to throw out that it's because Garantano practices so well. Well, you know, Tim Tebow was. It's been said that he wasn't good in practice. He didn't practice very well. Some of these guys are just game day guys. They don't practice very well. I think you have to, especially in Chattanooga. If you're playing Chattanooga, you've got to let one of these other guys get some playing time just to see what you have. Because if they don't pull him, Chattanooga may be the only game we win this year.
Yeah.
They're talking about, Florida's down. If we're not going to the swamp and beat Florida.
Right.
It's not happening. And
yeah, I don't see that.
And then they want to throw out UAB. There's no guarantee we're going to beat UAB. We couldn't beat Georgia State.
Right. Yeah, I mean when you lose to Georgia State, that takes away the ability really for anybody to say anything about any guaranteed wins. I mean, obviously people think you'll win this weekend. You'll probably be favored against UAB. That might be the only team. Those are probably the only two teams you would be favored against right now, though. So we'll see. But who's behind Garantano anyway?
I'm not sure if Shrout or starts with an M. I'm drawing a blank because I'm so aggravated. I've been commenting back and forth on my page to other people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm with
you.
I
went off on a rant and it kind of blew up. So
I don't. I mean, I guess I understand why. I just sort of wonder how fair it is, really. But I mean, if a running back struggles or fumbles a couple of times, he's taken out, and another running back is putting in. It happens all the time, and no one bats an eye. If the left tackle keeps getting beat over and over and over and over and over again, he's taken out, and a different guy is given a shot. If a linebacker can't make tackles over and over and over and over and over again, he's taken out, and another linebacker is given a shot. If a DB can't cover a receiver, he's taken out, and another guy's given a shot. But for some reason, quarterbacks are just treated are treated differently. And any time a quarterback is taken out and another guy is given a shot, it's always a huge, it's a way bigger deal to everybody than any other position on the field. And I get it, it's the quarterback, but I mean, Tennessee, desperate times call for desperate measures, and it seems to me like you'd be willing to try almost anything you could at this point, including trying another quarterback.
Well, that's kind of what I was wanting to ask you. If we could go with like Mauser, what I was trying to think of. He would be one to try. He's a freshman, but let's I think, hey, let's throw him in there. Let's see what he's got. He's set up more for this offense. He's one of them that was brought in by Pruitt. He's set up for your offense. Why not try him? Garantano was brought in by Butch Jones, and he was brought in for a spread offense, totally different offense. How about we try one of your recruits and just see where it goes? That's I don't understand. I'm not getting it.
Yeah, I mean, what's the worst that could happen if you put a different quarterback in? He could play bad. Well, you're doing that. You're doing that now with Garantano, right? So, and you know what?
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in this too. Some players are gamers.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Now, I think players should practice hard and all that. Of course, I think that. But a lot of players, for whatever reason, when the lights come on, they have a way of just rising to the occasion. I don't know what it is. Rodrigo Blankenship, Georgia's kicker, who's one of my favorite Georgia players of all time, a kicker we have now. He couldn't make a field goal in practice his first year. He couldn't make an extra point in practice his first year at Georgia, and he didn't get to start.
Yeah.
Some other guy got to start, and he was great in practice. This other guy. Well, we start playing games in 2016, and this other guy, Ham was his name, can't make 20-yard field goals in a game, was missing extra points in games. So they said, well, screw it, just send the other guy in, even though he was worse in practice. I mean, hell, this other guy's not and they put Rodrigo in, and I don't think he's missed a kick since. I mean, he has. I'm exaggerating, but the point is he wasn't good enough to win the job in practice. He wasn't good enough to win the job in practice. But when the lights came on, it was something about it. He was ready to go. And there's been players for every school at every position that have been that way over the years, and you don't know until you try. And I mean, Tennessee's got to do something to shake things up. So and you're not the only one complaining about Garantano. I see it all over the place. So maybe you guys, and I'm not trolling, I'm being serious, because Chattanooga is really bad. Maybe you guys will get up to a 4 or 5 touchdown lead or something in the second half, and someone else will get a chance. Even if Pruitt's not willing to make a change like at the start of the game or anything like that, and the guy comes in the second half, and when it's a blowout and people go, oh my God, this guy is obviously so much better, and then you almost have to start him after that. So I don't know. We'll see.
I hope, Uncle Lou. I'm praying for anything to happen. I'm just a pissed off Vols fan. That's a matter of fact, it's one of the name of my YouTube page. It's just pissed off Vols fan. It's
I understand.
Just because I'm pissed off because they will not change him.
Yeah.
He will not pull him, and it's not like he will have 2 open receivers and he'll throw to double coverage. It's like, Jesus, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
It's not Chaney. Everybody wants to blame Chaney. And I know, he's not the greatest coordinator, but when they had him set up for success in that BYU game, and he stunk the field up, dude, he really did. I mean, you just had to be there. It was awful. It was like watching a 1A high school mediocre quarterback trying to play a 5A state power.
Yeah, that's sad.
It was ridiculous.
Anyway,
Uncle Lou, I love you, man. You've got a great page. I love it. You got a great show. I'm going to get off here and just listen. And anyway, man, hey, go Vols, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, good luck to y'all. I appreciate the call, and good luck to Tennessee this weekend. I'm an SEC homer. It's not a troll job. I was pulling for Tennessee last week. If any of you in the chat are on the Patreon page, I was going absolutely nuts at the end of that Tennessee BYU game. I really wanted Tennessee to win that game. I almost felt like I was watching a Georgia game at the end. I really wanted Tennessee to get a win there, but so I think y'all will get one this weekend. And it's just Chattanooga. I'm not sure how much that win will mean in terms of some of the other games on your schedule, but from a morale standpoint, Tennessee and their fans need a win really, really bad. Slim Shady, thank you for the super chat, sir. Who's the Seminoles' new defensive coordinator? Johnny Cochran. Yeah. Hey. If it don't fit, you must have quit. That Russian guy, thank you for the super chat, sir. He says Mizzou going to finish second in the East. That was my pick in the offseason, and then the Wyoming game happened, and it kind of scared me off. But then they looked pretty good against West Virginia. So I mentioned in the video earlier today, I'm going to pretend like that Missouri-Wyoming game just didn't happen. I'm just going to pretend like I don't know anything about it, like it was never played. I'm just going to sort of write that off, and I'm just going to go under the assumption that the Missouri team we saw last week is the real Missouri team, and go from there. If that's the case, I think they still have a chance to finish second in the East. But they can't play like they played against Wyoming and come in second in the East. That can't happen. They might not even come in third. So we'll see. Solid Snake, thank you for the super chat, sir. I appreciate it. Says, good evening, Lou from Tallahassee. Go Dogs, throw the damn ball. I agree, man. George Pickens is a grown man. And I like our other receivers, too. I think D-Rob is a McCole Hardman type receiver, blazing speed. I mean, you got to remember the guy caught almost 1,000 yards his freshman year. Now, that was in the Pac-12. It's hard to compare that. But the point is, he caught a lot of passes. It wouldn't hurt my feelings if he caught a few at Georgia, too. So I would love for us to open it up. Good morning, Annette. You're on with Uncle Lou and 2.
Morning, Lou. It's Slim Shady. How are you doing this morning?
Slim, what's up, buddy, man? Shoot, man. I don't remember the last time Georgia. I know it was 1978 because I heard somebody say it the last time Miami started 0-2. I can't remember the last time Georgia started 0-2, but I can't imagine how it feels. It can't feel good though.
Well, I'm really glad I didn't put a bet on my score prediction.
Oh yeah, I bet you are. You'd be hungry as hell if you did.
Yeah, I know, right? I'd be calling you from the back of my truck.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm really not even that upset about it. I mean, they really cleaned up from the Florida game. It was definitely nowhere near as sloppy. And that's kind of why I called. Some of these potato Miami fans have really gone like full Idaho Spud.
Oh no.
I mean, you mentioned it. You've got a group of them hollering to fire Manny Diaz after 2 games.
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it, but it's true. I heard him calling into Mark Rogers' show Saturday night, and I was like, "What in the world are you people thinking?"
I mean, going by that line of thinking is like saying they should have fired Kirby Smart for losing to Tennessee and Vandy.
Nick Saban lost to Louisiana Monroe his first year at Alabama. I mean, come on.
Well, not only that, they've gone so far as to say they're ready to pull Jaron Williams out and try a different quarterback.
Well, you know what that is. I hate to say this, and they never would have admitted this, but there was, like, the Miami quarterback situation created a lot of factions in the fan base. That's something I'm familiar with as a Georgia fan. And you almost have a percent. I don't want to say there were fans rooting for Jaron Williams to fail because obviously they wanted Miami to win. But now that Miami is losing, they're quick to point the finger at Jaron Williams because that wasn't their guy.
But it doesn't make any sense.
No.
Last year, Miami fans would have given their right arm for a quarterback that went 30 of 39 for 310 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions.
Yeah. I mean, playing Jaron Williams.
I was one of them.
Yeah, if Jaron Williams is the future at quarterback, and it appears to me that it is, you've got to play him all year because the only thing he doesn't have is experience. So it's just like I said after the Florida game. He made some throws, and there were some series in that game where you looked at Jaron Williams and I went, my God, this kid is really good. And then there were some other throws and some other decisions and some running around with the ball like it's a loaf of bread and some things where you're like, yep, true freshman or whatever he is, red shirt, whatever he is. And that's going to happen. I mean, there's going to be times where things like that happen, but, let him get all that stuff worked out this year because let's be honest, you're not winning the ACC. I don't think anybody's telling you anything you don't know there.
To win.
Yeah.
No.
So might as well get that stuff worked out this year and then reset your goals based on how he does this year for next season and say, okay, let's see if we can make a run here. Manny Diaz, year 2, Jaron Williams, year 2. Let's see what we can go out and do here.
Well,
you can't get rid of Jaron Williams now.
No. And I hate to say I told you so, and it's true because I said I hate to say it, but I told all these Miami fans that were hollering 12-0, 11-1, you're crazy. I got on here, probably with you, and said, at best, I see them going 10-2. My money was on 9-3, and then you put out your prediction of 8-4, so I figured mine wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
And
even when I said 8-4, I said, look, if Miami comes out in that game against Florida and looks better than people think, even if they lose, Miami could go 11-1. Now, obviously, that's out the window now because you lost to North Carolina. But
obviously.
So it's not like I never thought Miami was going to be a terrible team this year, and I still think 8-4 and possibly 9-3. I think 9-3 is probably more difficult now with the loss to North Carolina. But I don't think the wheels are going to fall off. Like I don't think you're going to get blown out by anybody. I think most of the games will probably be competitive, and I think you're going to win most of the remaining games on your schedule, and I think you're probably going to drop one or two.
Yeah, my prediction, we're going to drop the Virginia game. It's a Friday night game. If I'm not mistaken, it's on the road. It may be at home. Miami hasn't had a good record on Friday night games. I don't trust them.
I'm glad the SEC didn't make that. The ACC commissioner ought to be fired for ever agreeing to that deal with ESPN. That was stupid.
Yeah, there's one other thing I wanted to get off my chest, and this goes back to you called into Alonzo's show like a week or two before the Florida game, and it had a pretty epic rant on some of these keyboard warriors. I don't think it's hit the national news yet, but there are at least two that I know of, supposed Miami fans, just Urban Meyer-esque trash human beings, that have sent death threats to the kicker for missing that game-tying field goal. What is wrong with these people?
That's Alabama level crazy. There's been some Alabama kickers that have had to relocate. So yeah, that's unfortunately. Yeah, I know you're a Miami fan, so that's a very small percentage of Miami. But there are. That's not just a Miami thing. Unfortunately, that has happened. That has happened before.
I haven't heard of that happening anywhere else.
Yeah, it happened at Alabama.
Obviously. Yeah, well, and I think part of the problem is that I think some Miami fans are trying to have a contest with Florida State fans on who can get the most butthurt over Uncle Lou comments.
Oh.
I really think they're trying hard.
Yeah, I might make a comment on the comments video on Friday, and I might go back to my Florida State prediction video and my Miami prediction video and read some of the comments in there of people telling me how, this guy's an idiot thinking Miami's only winning 8 or 9 games, or Florida State, I think, 8 or 9 or whatever. This guy's dumb. I might go back and read some of those. I just thought of something, too. This isn't quite as bad as a death threat, but Aaron Murray, quarterback for Georgia, in my opinion, best quarterback we've ever had. His parents' house was egged one year after a game. I can't even remember the game. I guess he must have thrown an interception or something. I don't know. And his parents' house got egged by Georgia fans. So I mean, I'm not trying to put that on the same level as a death threat or whatever, obviously. But the point is that I mean, listen, I catch hell because I break a few things out here. I'm not bothering anybody other than myself when I do that, though. It's not like I'm going down the street and keying my neighbor's car or something if Georgia loses. You know what I mean? I might break something, but it's my something that I break. These people with the death threats and egging people's parents' houses and stuff like that, and I mean, it's just ridiculous,
Yeah, like I said, I've tried. I called into Alonzo's show the other day, and I told all of them. I said, 9-3 seems a whole lot more reasonable now, doesn't it? I said, they've got the next 2 weeks of cupcakes to finish cleaning up. You've got Virginia Tech on the road. I want to say that's not going to be much of a problem because Justin Fuente just hasn't seemed to have panned out there.
Yeah, I agree.
Unfortunately, and I was like you, I was high on him.
Yeah.
But their defense is going to show up to play because this is Bud Foster's last year. He's retiring. Like I said, I'm worried about the Virginia game. Georgia Tech, I don't think we're going to have a problem with. Florida State, I really don't think we're going to have a problem with because, okay, they're one game better than us, but you struggled against ULM. I mean, at least we've lost to 2 Power 5 teams.
Yeah, and they're in much worse shape because they're in year 2, so they shouldn't be having they shouldn't be having these problems in year 2, if you lose to North Carolina next year, that's way more concerning than you losing to North Carolina this year. And that's what Florida State's in year 2 and they look terrible. That's bad. So I would definitely pick Miami to win that game right now.
I think the difference between mine and your record now, I've got them losing to Virginia instead of Virginia Tech. I don't know why you had them pick lose Virginia Tech, and I don't seriously think they're going to lose to Duke. I just don't see it.
That might have been a little bit of a troll.
Well, like I said, I think some of these Miami fans' hysteria, I'm putting it on you. It's your fault.
Yeah. Well, some of them are eat up with Uncle Lou, that's for sure. But I don't. I mean, you know, I don't have any hate for Miami. None. Why would I? I don't have any history with other than the fact that Mark Richt coached at Georgia. Like, there's no history between Georgia and Miami.
Like 3 times.
Why would I?
They played 3 times ever.
Yeah, there's no reason for me to hate Miami. So when I talk about Miami, that's generally my honest feelings when I'm doing a preview or prediction video. I mean, if I make one of these things, you know, where I'm pacing back and forth yelling into the phone or something, that's different. But most people are able to understand the difference between those trash talk videos and the real videos or whatever.
Not all of them. And I get where it's coming from. I get where a lot of it's coming from. You know, a lot of Miami fans are in the same place Tennessee fans are. You know, they've been down for so long, they're ready to be back up. I mean, like you said with Alabama, go watch NASCAR until they're good again. It'll be okay.
Yeah. NASCAR can't wait for Nick Saban to retire, man. That's gonna be the best thing to happen in NASCAR since 1993. But hey, Slim, I'm gonna let you go and try to get some more on. Good luck to your Canes this weekend against Bethune-Cookman, although I don't think you'll need it. But thank you for the call, sir. Brad W., thank you for the super chat, so I really appreciate that. Thank you. That means a lot, buddy. I really appreciate it. He says, Lou, good morning. We have average 8 yards a carry against Vanderbilt and less than 7 against Murray State. That ain't going to cut it playing a good D-line through throw the dang ball. I'm not too much worried about the overall yards per carry because our number 1 and our number 2 running back are both over 9 yards per carry for the season now, Zeus and Swift. But nevertheless, I agree with you 100%. We need to start throwing the ball more. And I must have read that wrong because I'm pretty sure I just saw Deep Barat or whatever his name is type up there in the comments section that Texas is beating Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry. Sir, were you asleep last Saturday? Did you not see what Joe Burrow did to your secondary? What do you think Oklahoma's going to do? Oklahoma will score 75 on you. You're not beating Oklahoma. Stop it. 706-510-6817 is the number if you want to be on the show. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Good morning, Uncle Lou. It's McDee's 4-4.
Yep, the floor is yours, sir. You were right, and me and everyone else in the comment section was wrong. Every single one of us. Not a single person saw this coming. Go.
Okay. Well, as you know, Maryland's ranked number 21. The one thing I was going to call up and check, talk about rather, is I don't like what I'm seeing in the comment section saying that Maryland's going to win the Big Ten. Maryland's going to beat Michigan. Maryland's going to beat Ohio State. We're playing a team in Temple that beat us by 3 touchdowns last year. I want to focus on that game more than anything.
Well, listen.
That's the game I'm focusing on
sir,
right now.
Yeah,
I want to take a game by game.
I got you. I mean, that's fine. That's the coach's job, not yours. Okay? I mean, I get it. They beat you last year. They're not beating you this year. I understand what you're saying. Now, but it's the coaches and the players' job to focus on the next game, not the fans. Okay? Alabama fans didn't have to focus on New Mexico State last week, and Maryland fans don't have to focus on Temple. But I mean, like I said, they did beat you, but you guys will roll. I don't know if you've noticed, but Maryland's not quite the same team this year as they were last year.
Yeah, I mean, I was not expecting 63-20 against Syracuse. I had 45-38, but I was not expecting that. And And the funny thing is, I think I'm more concerned about Penn State and Michigan State than I am Ohio State and Michigan. We haven't come anywhere close to Penn State. We get them in week 5 on a Friday night at home. That's going to be a very interesting game right there. I'm interested to see how we look against them. I think that's their first real big test. And Michigan State, I am concerned about that defense, and we haven't been anywhere close to them either. I predicted in the preseason we will beat Michigan this season, and the more I look at Michigan, the more likely I think that is. We get them at home after they play Penn State and Notre Dame. So I think they're going to be banged up on the road before a bye week. They will probably overlook us. And Ohio State, we should have beat them last year. I mean, we caused Urban Meyer to have a heart attack on the sideline. So
that was the best part of y'all's season last year, to be honest.
I mean, the best part was beating Texas because Texas is like a trash can program. I mean, we'll probably beat Texas 99-20 instead of 63-20 like we did to Syracuse. But overall, I'm really excited. But I know you said it's the coach's job, but I'm really focused on Temple right now. That's who I'm only because we lost to him last year.
Yeah, well, congratulations. You're off to a great start. And good luck with the whole focus on Temple thing, and thank you for the call. Somebody just said Texas is going to beat Oklahoma because Oklahoma doesn't have a defense. Oklahoma hasn't had a defense in 4 or 5 years. You've beat them once in the last 4 or 5 games. So the fact that they don't have a defense is nothing new. But you're not beating Oklahoma. Texas is not beating Oklahoma. I'm sorry. It's not happening. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Lou. It's George. You got a minute?
No, I'm doing a radio show right now.
Oh, well, I want to talk about football. It worked out perfect.
What's up, buddy?
I would say Oklahoma is the scariest team I've seen all year, right? Am I right or am I right?
Offensively, but, we've seen this before.
All right. Second of all, I want to know who's responsible for not notifying North Carolina that Miami had 5 national championship rings.
Right? Don't they know? Yeah.
Somebody gets fired, man.
Yeah, they're supposed to roll over and play dead, but just because Miami was good 15 years ago.
Right. Number three, Georgia is dumb because they let Justin Fields go. Yes or no?
I'm gonna say yes and no. I'm gonna say.
Oh my God.
Listen, I love Justin Fields. Georgia's not running that offense. Justin Fields at Georgia would not put up the numbers he's putting up at Ohio State. We don't run that offense there. The dumb thing, and I don't want this to come off the wrong way because I'm a Justin Fields fan. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I could care less what these Disney dogs think about me.
You always have been.
I've always been a Justin Fields fan, so I don't want this to come off the wrong way. The dumbest thing that was ever done involving Justin Fields at all was him committing and coming to the University of Georgia to start with. He never should have.
Right. Okay.
Because
You're right.
We're not going to change our offense. We proved that last year. We would rather do what we're doing than change the offense and have a dynamic, game-changing quarterback. For better or for worse. For better or for worse. That's just what it is. Justin Fields is going to have a great year at Ohio State.
This isn't why I called, but I just want to say thank God. Thank God that you didn't go that way.
Yeah.
Because it always leaves the door open for somebody, with a high-flying offense.
Yeah, I'm a believer. Justin Fields is going to put up great numbers. Ohio State's going to have a great team again this year. But that's why I can't answer your original question just yes or no. Like, you can't look at Justin Fields and go, my God, the guy's got 700 yards through 2 games and 9 touchdowns. I wish Georgia had him. He wouldn't have that at Georgia, even if he was the quarterback, because guess what he would be doing? He would be handing off 90% of the time. Fromm had 11 pass attempts last week. If we had Justin Fields on our team, we wouldn't suddenly be throwing the ball 30 times a game. Kirby doesn't want to do that for whatever reason. And like I said, for better or for worse, and we're going to find out, that's the decision Kirby has made. So we'll see, where the chips fall at the end of the season in terms of who's into playoffs and all that. But I'm telling you, if Ohio State is there,
you have an ominous team.
If Ohio State's there,
let's see what Kirby Smart can do with your ominous team. You have an ominous team, man.
We'll
You're like
see.
LSU on steroids.
Yeah, we'll see. Hey, thanks for the call, George. I still think if Ohio State ends up in the playoffs and Georgia doesn't, it's going to be very hard for Georgia to get past that because I just won't be good. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Why do you have LSU at 5?
Because that's where I think they belong.
Okay, did you not learn your lesson from last year?
What lesson?
What was it, 36-16?
What does that have to do with a poll in 2019?
Well, LSU is a tried and true team, unlike Georgia, which is a choke artist.
Okay, well, you lost to 20. If we're going to go down this road, you lost 29-0 to Alabama at home last year. Therefore, you have zero chance of beating them this year, right? Since you lost to them last year. Is that how this works?
You do realize nobody takes Georgia seriously in the West. Nobody, not Bama, not Auburn, not A&M.
Do you think anyone takes you seriously? When was the last time LSU won the SEC?
No,
How long has it been since you won the SEC? 8 years? No one takes LSU seriously.
Well, the state of Louisiana takes LSU seriously, and the
because
state
they
of
don't
Georgia
have
is
anything
led by
else.
Georgia
I
Tech.
mean, you're talking about a state filled with swamp rats like yourself, sir. No one, LSU. No one takes LSU. You're a second-tier program. You're a second-tier program, sir. You can't make a college football playoff. When was the last time you even won your division? Huh? You can't even win a division.
Tech's got more national championships than y'all.
Who?
Georgia Tech's got more national championships than y'all.
Harvard has 27 national titles. Are they better than LSU in 2019?
I don't know. I mean, obviously.
Are you completely retarded or just partially?
Okay, so there's absolutely no way that y'all can possibly choke the SEC East up this year. But when you get to the championship, whether it's us, whether it's Bama, y'all are gonna just choke again. There's like you could forget about a national championship. Like you're not a contender. You're just not. I mean, 19.
You can't even win a division, sir. Why are you even talking about national championships? You haven't won your division in how many years?
I mean, at least we had one in the 2000s.
Won what? How is that helping you now?
I mean, it's sad. You know, I really do think that Georgia, has its expectations up way, way too high. I mean,
did you expect to beat Florida last year? I mean, we blew Florida out. Did you expect to beat Florida? I mean, if the East is so bad, why does Florida own you like a rented mule?
I mean, you win some, you lose. I mean, we just had a bad game.
Oh, so when it's LSU, you win some and you lose some. But when you beat Georgia, then Georgia's a dumpster fire program. Sir, you can't win your division. You can't win the SEC. You can't make a college football playoff. You finally have an offense for the first time in 8 years, and you think you're onto something. You're not winning the West, sir. Alabama's gonna beat the bejesus out of you again. It won't even be close. And your season will be over.
Our chances of winning the West versus y'all's chances at a national championship are much better. Much better.
No, you're not winning the West, sir. Quit setting yourself up for disappointment. Focus on a New Year's Six bowl.
A New Year's Six, yeah. Way to represent the SEC. Way to represent.
Are you an SEC fan?
Unlike y'all, we actually take care of our business.
Oh, you're an SEC. Oh, you do?
We do. Texas.
Okay. Is winning your division part of your business? Because you haven't been able to take care of that. You haven't taken care of that in a long time.
We actually show out. Y'all are losing to Texas, who lost to I think it's kind of funny because I've been watching your show, here a little bit or whatever, and you were, talking about Texas losing to a turtle and, just all of that. I mean, but look, y'all dropped one last year against Texas. Like, come on now. Really? Really?
Yeah, really. You lost to Texas A&M last year. How's that possible?
I got A&M over y'all. I got this year. I got A&M over y'all. Just wait and see.
Oh, my God, man. You're the dumbest caller we've had in a while, and that is saying something, sir, around here because we get some real doozies. Jesus Christ, man. Put the corn dogs down, buddy. I think you're are you
Yeah,
what
yeah,
are
the corn dogs.
you
I
I mean,
like
this
that.
is something serious, man. You can't win your division. You can't beat Alabama. Hasn't Alabama beat you 8 times in a row? Sad, pathetic, pitiful. You can't win your division. You can't win the SEC. You can't make the playoffs. You can't beat Florida. You can't beat Texas A&M. You lost to Troy 2 seasons ago at home on homecoming, and now you're calling up this show because you beat Texas? Sir, listen, if there's one team in America right now that's less relevant than LSU and hasn't won anything even going further back than LSU, it's Texas. So congratulations on that huge program-defining win that you had, sir.
How much did y'all beat Vandy by this year? Since you want to talk this year, how much did y'all beat Vandy by?
What was it, 30-6?
How much did Purdue beat Vandy by?
I don't know what the final score was. Do you think Georgia? So you think Purdue and Georgia are equal?
No, it's not even that. It's just y'all are overhyped. There's no way you can have Georgia above LSU. No way.
Every poll in America
This
has
year.
Georgia
Yeah.
above LSU. Is everybody just an idiot Georgia homer? Who votes in the coaches poll?
What I'm saying is,
Who votes in the coaches poll? Who votes in the coaches poll? Who votes in the coaches poll? Who votes in the coaches poll?
The coaches?
They have Georgia ahead of LSU. Have you called them up and cried?
I mean, that's. I mean, no, I haven't. But that. Besides,
You should
that, I'm just
consider
saying,
it.
At least. I mean, at least at 4. I figured you'd put us at least at 4.
Why?
At least.
First of all,
Why not? We just beat
no
Texas.
poll matters except the college football playoff poll, which doesn't even come out until October. The poll that matters the least is the UNCLELOU poll. And you are literally beside yourself, curled up in the fetal position, cuddling your security blanket, petting your emotional support dog, because Uncle Lou ranked the corn dogs 5th. You would be an underdog. You would be an underdog against any of the 4 teams I ranked ahead of you.
Let me ask you this. So, do you think LSU is going to make it to the SEC championship this year?
No. Do I need to? I mean, what do I need to do? Some kind of Helen Keller sign language for you? So where do you live? Smoke signals? Which way is the wind blowing? I'll start a fire now. No, you're not winning the SEC West, sir. No. You might go 10-2. You might go 10-2. 9-3 is more likely, but you might go 10-2.
Yeah, 10-2. Yeah. Well, yeah.
That would be the best season you've had in like 10 years. Why are you crying about 10-2? That would be the best season you've had in ages.
Definitely not 10 years because we beat y'all in the SEC championship in 2011. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Waiting on some more knowledge from you here.
Yeah. What was it? 42-0?
What?
In 2011.
Are you asking me if you beat Georgia 42-0 in 2011? The answer is no, you didn't. You never beat Georgia 42-0, and you never will.
Okay, well, what was the score?
It wasn't 42-0.
What was the score?
It wasn't 42-0. Don't make.
What was the score?
I don't. It's your story. Tell it any way you want, but it wasn't 42-0. Corn dog.
Okay, all right, 42 to 10. 42 to 10.
Is
So,
that 42 to nothing,
you know.
or I mean, I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I mean, obviously it's not. But
Well, what
it's
happened
still,
the last
a
time
tail
you came to
whipping
Athens?
either way.
What happened the last time you came to Athens? I mean, are we going to do a history lesson here?
You do realize that stadium is an absolute joke. Between the hedges.
Is that why you can't win there? Is that why you can't win there?
Let me see.
Your stadium is built on a swamp, sir. Do you know why you're a corn dog? Do you know why you have that name? Chances are you don't. I don't have the time nor the inclination to educate you on it, but I suggest you look it up. The smell is horrendous there.
I don't even know what is between the hedges. What? I mean, what is that? Like a fat Georgia bona fide chicken eating woman? What is that?
You know, I honestly believe that you don't understand that name. I believe you.
God, man, I'm 5, really 5. I mean, like, geez, whatever, man. That's all I got. You know, since I opened up the show talking a little bit about LSU or whatever, saw your polls, so just. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna see, and that A&M game's coming up this year, and I'll definitely have my eyes on that. But thank you for taking me.
Good morning, Nat. You're on with Uncle Lou.
What's going on, Lou?
Oh, nothing. Educating people. That's all.
Yeah, I. How do you not understand what's between the hedges? There's a big ass hedge around the field. I don't know. I'm not a scholar, but I can understand the name of the nickname for the stadium. So it's not that complex. I just had a question for you relating to Georgia. If I were to ask you who's leading the SEC in quarterback pressures along the defensive line, who do you think it would be?
What, a team or a person?
Person.
Oh. I would guess somebody from Florida since they had those 10 sacks against Miami, but I don't know. It would be only
It's actually
a guess.
Devontae Wyatt.
Oh, really? Pressures? Oh, total pressures? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's surprising.
Yeah, 7th in the country, too. It seems like the D-line looked a lot more stout this year. I know we haven't been playing great competition so far, but all you can do is beat the hell out of these terrible teams. And we didn't even look as good last year when we were beating them bad. Like, there's something like the front seven just looks like a little bit retooled this year. They look more aggressive. Like there's something like innate about it. Have you noticed that?
Oh, there's a huge improvement along the defensive front. I mean, on the outside and the interior.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned Devontae Wyatt, and of course you got Nolan Smith on the outside. I mean, a lot of those guys are an improvement over what we've had, especially last year. Losing John Jenkins after 17 really hurt us on the inside. And so far we look a lot better up front than last year.
Yeah, we've also I think it might have to do with us being a lot more experienced in the back end because Kirby's been mentioning that a bunch. But we've been showing a lot more pressure looks. Like we've been really going after people this year. I mean, it's obviously showed we have. I mean, even though it was Murray State, I would never. I mean, we had like 6 sacks. Like I would watching that team last year, I would never think a year removed we'd ever have 6 sacks in a game.
Oh, I know, yeah. I mean, yeah, you won't hear me complaining at all about what I've seen so far this year in terms of pressuring the quarterback. It's the difference is night and day from last year. A huge improvement.
Yeah. So I'm curious. Do you really think that I know you were high on Kentucky before Terry Wilson got hurt. Are you seeing a challenge this week, like a legitimate, legitimate like nail biter for Florida?
I'm not impressed with Florida at all. Now it's early in the season, so it's hard to know anything for sure. But I don't think South Carolina is very good. North Carolina barely beat them. North Carolina then turned around and beat Miami as bad as Florida did. So, and then you know Florida's Kadarius Toney's not playing, C.J. Henderson's not playing. They have no running game at all, zero, none. I'm not talking about like it's just bad. Like they literally, I mean, it's just their running game is pitiful. Felipe Franks,
I'm not even sure,
has been completing passes at a high percentage, but I still hear from Florida fans that say he's terrible and they don't even want him to play. So I don't know. I mean, I think Florida's got a better team. Florida's still loaded at the wide receiver position, even without Kadarius Toney. But you go back and watch that Miami game. Without Kadarius Toney, Miami loses that game. Period.
Yeah, I'm not even sure it's the running backs. Like, it's the offensive line. Like, Florida fans are a bit delusional where they just think, like, they lost Martez Ivey and Jawan Taylor last year, and they're retooling their entire offensive line.
Yeah, their O-line is terrible. Their O-line is terrible.
Yeah, because they didn't recruit the line of scrimmage, particularly the offensive line, extremely well for a long time. It's not just going to be magical. I don't care how good your offensive line coach is. Sam Pittman's the best offensive line coach in college right now. When he got to Georgia, the line was terrible because Mark Richt didn't know how to recruit offensive linemen. He didn't know how to do it.
Right. No, look, Florida's got some serious issues, but Kentucky's got some issues too. They haven't looked very good the first couple of weeks either. They're a little more healthy right now than Florida is. I mean, but even Kentucky is hit with Terry Wilson being out. So, you know, it's in Kentucky. Even if the fans are rowdy and all that, I mean, they were rowdy last year when Georgia showed up there. It's not a very intimidating place to play. The only real advantage I think Kentucky has in playing this game in Kentucky is that means they're not playing it at Florida. But, like, I don't think Florida's going to show up there and be intimidated by a Kentucky crowd. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think if Felipe Franks plays anywhere close to what he's played the first couple of weeks, I think Florida will probably win the game. If he has one of those games where he goes out and throws a couple of interceptions and, you know, can't get anything going or whatever, and then I think it's possible Kentucky could pull the upset. I mean, I would take Kentucky. Yeah, thanks for the call. I mean, I said on the video today, I'm going to take Kentucky in 8.5. And, you know, maybe Kentucky pulls off the upset or maybe they keep it close. But I would expect Florida to win the game outright. Slim Shady, thank you for the super chat, sir. Says, hey, Florida, didn't you tell Mizzou y'all got 3 natties? How dare Mizzou come in and beat Florida? Don't they know Florida has 3 national championships? Can you believe Florida's been playing football for, 100 and how many years, and they've never had a perfect season? Unbelievable. Just a damn shame. Ryan, thank you for the super chat, sir. He says, Clowns you. I'm assuming he's talking about Florida State because it is a clown college. Sooner fan, thank you for the super chat, sir. He says, I would like to see that LSU versus UGA rematch this year. Well, you won't be able to see it this year because LSU can't win their division, per usual. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
Oh, yeah, it's going great. How you doing?
Not too bad. So, I wanted to ask you about Notre Dame and Georgia playing, and I wanted to ask you why you think Georgia's been going back up the scores.
Notre Dame can't.
Although Notre Dame did struggle to start, they adjusted really well in the second half, and I think they're hiding a lot of schemes because they played Louisville, who's god awful, and then they play New Mexico State. So I just wanted to ask you.
I think that's a myth and something that I don't believe teams hide things. Now, you may hide a trick play. You don't hide entire portions of your offense because you're playing Louisville, especially. And even if you were, you would quit hiding them real quick when you found out Louisville was whipping you in the first quarter, which is what was happening. But I mean, I thought Georgia was winning this game by 2 touchdowns before. I mean, I've been saying that since May. So the fact that they couldn't stop the run against Louisville isn't the reason why I think that. I don't think Notre Dame can come down to Georgia and win. I just don't. I think that's Georgia's.
I don't think they're going to win.
Yeah, I don't either. I think Georgia wins somewhere between 17 and 20 points. I don't think it'll be that close.
You don't think they can keep it close?
I think they might keep it close for a while, but I mean, I've been saying this from May. So far, I've seen Notre Dame play one game. They didn't look good, and I've seen Georgia play 2 games, and they looked pretty good. So I haven't seen anything so far this season that would make me change my mind from what I've been saying since May, which is that I don't think Notre Dame's ready for this environment down there. Georgia hasn't had a decent game all year. I mean, Vanderbilt and 2 nobodies. The crowd's going to be absolutely nuts. It's a night game. When we beat Notre Dame 2 years ago, the crowd was only 65% Georgia because it was played in Notre Dame. This one's going to be 95% Georgia, and Notre Dame's just not ready. Georgia hasn't lost a home game since 2016. They're not losing one this year either. That goes for that LSU corn dog too, who thinks Texas A&M is coming to Athens and beating Georgia. Guy just doesn't know what he's talking about. But so no, I just don't think it'll be. I don't think it'll be a close game in the end.
All right, and then I wanted to ask you. I agree. I think they're going to lose to Georgia, but Michigan. After watching that Army game, do you think there's any possibility? Because I know you were really high on Michigan in the offseason. Do you think Notre Dame could win that game?
Do I think Notre Dame could beat Michigan?
Yeah.
I may change my mind when that game is played, but as of now, I'm going to stick with my original prediction of Michigan winning at home in that one.
All right. Well, I think that's all I had for today, but thank you.
Okay, yeah, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Somebody asked who's leading the SEC in rushing. I don't know. I'm not sure if you mean like individually or like team rushing or whatever, but Kylan Hill, in terms of total yards, Kylan Hill is first by a mile. He's got 320. He's pretty much all Mississippi State has. That's why. He has 320 yards. DeAndre Swift is number 2 with 214 yards, but Kylan Hill has twice as many carries as DeAndre Swift. Of course, DeAndre Swift only carries the ball 9 or 10 times a game. So, I mean, that's just kind of what it is. But I'll just read them off. Kylan Hill is 1, DeAndre Swift 2, Jatavius Whitlow, which is who they call Booby Whitlow at Auburn. I talked about him today. Auburn's doing the same thing this year they did with Cam Petaway and Kerryon Johnson. Jatavius Whitlow has 47 rushing attempts. That's by far the most in the SEC. No one else on Auburn's team has more than 14. So Auburn is just picking a running back, and they're going to ride him into the ground. And then in November, this guy won't be able to walk, and they'll blame all 5 or 6 of their losses on that. That's just what Auburn does. But he's number 4. After that is Scotty Phillips over at Ole Miss. Ty Chandler at Tennessee is 5th with 202. Rakeem Boyd, 181. I mean, a better way to tell, really, is yards per attempt. DeAndre Swift and Zamir White are 1st and 2nd in the SEC in yards per attempt. So, especially early in the season, I think that's a better way, really, to tell. That running back for Kentucky is 3rd. So anyway, that gives you a pretty good idea there. Oh yeah, good morning in that. You're on with Uncle Lou in that and 2 and also.
Yep.
Yeah, good morning.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, doing good.
I've been seeing a lot of South Carolina fans the last couple of days talking about Holinsky, and it sounds like they're convinced that they're going to win a national championship this year. I mean, I see him being a good quarterback. I mean, he's number 8 in the last class. I think that they're getting way ahead of the train on this one. What do you think about that? I've seen people predicting that they're going to pull off Bama, beating Bama.
Was there anybody looking at South Carolina a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a month ago, anytime during the offseason and going, man, if they just had a little bit better of a quarterback, they could win a national title? Was there anyone that thought that?
I don't think anybody that knew anything about football. I mean, Darius Rucker, after they lost to North Carolina, basically said the season's over, and then this past weekend he tweeted that Helinski's going to win the Heisman Trophy.
Well, I mean, a fan is short for fanatic, and he seems a little fanatical to me. But, I mean, the guy looked good against an inferior opponent. That's all you can do. I mean, you play a terrible team, all you can do is go out and dominate them, so he looked good.
Yeah, I know.
Now, let's see what he does against Alabama. And it's almost even a little unfair to judge him on that. I mean, you're asking a guy in his second start ever, his first SEC start ever, to go up against a Nick Saban defense. It's almost not even fair. But I don't expect him to have a very good game. I don't expect South Carolina to have a very good season. Losing Jake Bentley doesn't affect my outlook for South Carolina. I didn't think South Carolina was going to make a bowl game before the season started. I still don't think they're going to make a bowl game.
I agree.
Schedule just way too hard. I mean, they're not beating Bama, Georgia, or Clemson. They're not beating Texas A&M. I doubt they beat Florida. I doubt they beat Mizzou. They haven't beat Kentucky in 5 years. They'll beat Tennessee. They'll probably beat Vandy. It's 4 or 5 wins.
Yeah, the only opponent I really think you can count on them beating is Tennessee, and that's only because Muschamp, for some reason, that's the only team he seems to be able to beat consistently.
Yeah, Tennessee's never beat Will Muschamp, whether he was at Florida or South Carolina. Either one didn't matter. Weird.
He's got to have some luck somewhere, because it seems like everywhere else he goes just crashes and burns.
You said it, not me. Thank you for the call, sir. Of course, Will Muschamp still works for UGA. He always has. Don't tell anybody. That's our little secret here. All right, that's going to be it for the phone calls. It's after 11:30, so we went a little overtime tonight, which is fine. An hour and a half instead of an hour. Mostly good calls today. I hope that LSU fan is okay. I really do. I feel bad for him. But I don't know. Poor LSU fan. They want to matter so bad they can't stand it. It does. It must suck. It must suck really, because 7 or 8 years they just keep saying to themselves, "Man, if we only had an offense. If we only had an offense. If we only had an offense." Then this year they have an offense and they're still not going to win their division. So I do feel bad for. I feel bad for the legitimate, like, normal, sane LSU fans, but that half a corn dog that called in, he's in for a rude awakening, isn't he? He's the Gamecock Steve of the LSU corn dogs, ain't he? Yeah, he is. Anyway, it is what it is, I guess. I don't know.
you